However, Mu Liang had no interest in anything else. He was looking at the girl in his arms who was having a difficult time to breathe. His eyes were full of anxiety. Ah! Cold water. I want cold water. Mu Lan screamed as she tried to move away from the warm embrace. Mu Liang took her inside the castle. He took her straight to the nearest room. He saw that it was a drawing room. Mu Liang didn't want to let her go. But, unable to see her in pain, he put her down on the cold ground. Mu Lan relaxed a bit. Bring cold water. Mu Liang ordered. He didn't look at others. His attention was simply on Mu Lan, who was suffering. Mu Feng had a pained expression seeing his beloved sister-in-law Lan suffering. He instructed his men, there must be some bottles in the fridge. Bring them here. Soon they arrived with bottles and surprisingly, they brought ice cream too. Mu Feng looked at his men with a puzzled gaze. One of the men said, there is plenty of cold water and ice cream. The chef said that it was for the young mistress. Mu Liang frowned, he thought in his mind, she was right. He really did take care of her. But that doesn't mean that she wasn't suffering because of him. Mu Liang poured a glass of cold water and tried to feed Mu Lan. As soon as she tasted cold water, she grabbed the glass and drank the whole glass of water in mere seconds. Mu Liang looked at Mu Feng and asked, is there any cold room? One of the men said, there is a bedroom with air conditioner. The room was as freezing cold. It is Major General Ru Xian's room bedroom. The man hesitated before saying, we found some belongings of young miss. Mu Liang's face was already grave. He recalled General Ru saying something like she was sleeping in his room. Mu Liang had no intention to take her into Xian's room. But it was better than Mu Lan rolling on the floor just like she was doing it right now. He carried her to the bedroom and as the man said it was freezing cold. Mu Liang put her down on the cold bed and looked at the surroundings. His eyes relaxed a little seeing a quilt and a pillow on the sofa. So he didn't sleep with her after all. Mu Liang didn't want to admit but he realized that this Xian guy actually cared for her. But he made her go through such pain that Mu Liang detested him to the core. Meanwhile, some helicopters and a large ship came. It was the Chinese military. General First Class Bo greeted Mu Feng and they took the unconscious men with them. Every man who lived in the castle was taken. The Chinese military had also visited the Ru mansion. But for some reason, the whole mansion was burning. General First Class Bo was really mad this time. All his evidences was gone. With a black face, he came to take General Ru and the others from the island. To his surprise, Mu Feng gave him some documents. General First Class Bo found out that it was the contract between General Ru and the Qi family's Qi gemming in France. Their Operation R0 was written in details and there were also names of the people who were involved including the researchers and the guards. Everything was written in details. General First Class Bo thanked Mu Feng and said before leaving, next time, don't act on your own. He clearly got the basic idea that who burnt the whole Ru mansion down. Mu Feng smiled and said nothing. He had no wish to let the Chinese government know about this R0. People might use it for their selfish desire. As soon as the military left, a jet plane came and landed on the landed island. It was Mu Liang's jet plane. Mu Feng hurriedly went towards it to tell Lu Feng about Mu Lan's condition. However, to his surprise, the one who came out of the plane was Grandpa Lu. Mu Feng was flabbergasted. Grandpa Lu, how have you been? He asked. Grandpa Lu curtly answered, busy. Then he said in a hurried tone, take me to the girl, Mu Feng led him to the Xian's bedroom. Both of them were surprised in the cold room. They saw that Mu Lan was rolling on the bed and Mu Liang was helplessly looking at her. Grandpa Lu came closer and touched her hand to check the pulse. Mu Liang looked at him and asked, how's her condition? He didn't though his worried face, but his eyes couldn't lie. Grandpa Lu didn't say anything. He opened his briefcase and took out a large injection syringe. He cleaned her wrist with an antiseptic lotion and injected the antidote. Then he said, "Take her to the washroom." The moment he said that, Mu Lan sat on the bed and wanted to vomit. Mu Liang swiftly took her and headed to the bathroom. 30 minutes later, Mu Lan was drained. Mu Liang cleaned her mouth and wiped it with a soft towel. Later, he untucked her in the bed, who was deep in sleep, and strode to the next room. There Mu Feng and Grandpa Lu were having ice cream. "Big brother, here is yours." Mu Feng handed Mu Liang a cup of ice cream. Mu Liang took it without objection and sat beside his younger brother. He looked at Grandpa Lu and asked, "Will she be okay now?" Grandpa Lu enjoyed his ice cream and said, "She will. She still has some of the poison left in her stomach, but it will come out within 10 hours through her urine." He paused before continuing, "But before you guys head to France, I want both of you to have some sleep. Especially you, Liang child. You look a lot more terrible than Feng child last time I saw him 4 years ago." Grandpa sighed and said, "If it wasn't for me, you children didn't have to suffer this much. Both of your lovers look so innocent. I did a great sin." His voice was full of sadness. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 182, I'm sorry I'm late. Chapter 182, I'm sorry I'm late. Grandpa sighed and said, "If it wasn't for me, you children didn't have to suffer this much. Both of your lovers look so innocent. I did a great sin." His voice was full of sadness. Mu Liang, as heartless as he was, said nothing and nodded while having his ice cream. Seeing that, Grandpa Lu became even more mortified. Looking at the old man's face, Mu Feng hurriedly said, "It's fine, Grandpa. They are both okay now. Xiying is also doing great. Sister Lan Lan will also be fine." Grandpa Lu opened his mouth. "About that, I got a medical report of this girl from my grandchild, Lu Feng. I believe that she had an accident." Mu Liang said, "Yes, she had." He looked at the grandpa. Grandpa Lu replied, "She had the poison in her blood for 4 days. Though they gave her an antidote, it wasn't very effective." His face was grim. "What do you want to say? Say it." Mu Liang said in a cold voice. "I think the pain she went through, it can give her a mental breakdown. As long as you treat her well, she will be all right." Grandpa Lu said. "How long?" Mu Liang's eyes were as cold as ice. "If she has a strong personality, then it will take a month or less." Grandpa Lu said in with a guilty face. He continued, "If you need my help with anything, I'll help you in any way I can. I promise." Mu Feng lost his interest in the ice cream. He looked at his stone-faced elder brother. Mu Liang's face was sharp and cold. He didn't show any of his thoughts. Only Mu Feng could tell how worried Mu Liang was and how much pain he was suffering. This time, Mu Feng said, "Big brother, you take a nap, I'll tell others to take some rest too." Mu Liang got up after finishing his ice cream, which was tasteless to his mouth, and went to the bedroom where Mu Lan was sleeping. He looked at the pale sleeping beauty. Because of makeup, he couldn't see her complexion earlier. Now, he could see how pale she was, and she got even thinner. She got black eye bags. Mu Liang took of her hair accessories and the veil. Then her diamond jewelry. He looked up for a female dress and found some shopping packets of branded stores. He opened them and found some beautiful clothes. He took out a cotton casual dress. Though it was bought by another man, Mu Liang thought that it was best if Mu Lan wasn't wearing a wedding dress at the least. He carefully took off her wedding dress and helped her dress in the cotton dress. He threw the wedding dress in the corner and laid down beside her and hugged her closely. Mu Liang felt like that his soul was in his body again. He sighed. He fell asleep sooner than he expected due to the lots of hard work and the lack of sleep in the past few days. Mu Lan had a peaceful sleep after a whole week. When she woke up, it was already night. She realized that she had no pain in her body. She was as good as before. She found it unbelievable. The next thing she found was even harder to believe. It was Mu Liang, sleeping next to her. As she thought that she was dreaming, she touched his sleeping face, his thick warm lips, his curvy eyebrows, and his long eyelashes. Mu Liang felt someone's touch and blinked. Mu Lan's hand froze in fear. She felt like, when he was going to open his eyes, it would be black rather than the pair of ocean blue orbs she wished to see. Didn't that happen every time? However, to her surprise, this time, those were ocean blue. Mu Lan blinked few times before tears started to fall from her eyes. She whispered, afraid that she would wake up from the dream, Liang, is that you? Mu Liang's heart ached to see her tears. He also answered in a low voice, yes, it's me. He paused, then said, we will leave this place soon. We will go back home. Mu Lan hesitantly asked, home, you mean, our home? Mu Liang smiled a little and gently replied, yes, our home. Mu Lan said with a small smile on her lips, it is very beautiful. Her eyes were dreamy. Not understanding, Mu Liang asked, what is? Mu Lan's smile broadened, the dream where I can see you sleeping next to me. Mu Liang froze on the spot. To her, it is a dream. Is she really in a mental breakdown? His thoughts were in a mess. He hugged her closely and tightly, then replied, Lan, it is not a dream. I rescued you before you were forced to marry. Mu Lan also hugged him at the same time and said, then you were late, Liang. You should be punished. How do you want to compensate? Mu Liang kissed her forehead and said, I'm sorry that I'm late. Mu Lan smiled and hugged him even closer. She said, sorry isn't enough. Mu Liang's eyes were moist in tears, but he blinked them away. He realized that Mu Lan still thought that she was in a dream. He pushed her down under him and said, then let me compensate you this way. Then Mu Liang leaned down and gave her a light kiss. However, one light kiss wasn't enough. He gave her more and more light kisses. Then the light kisses became passionate kisses. After a few minutes, he pushed his hot tongue inside her mouth and played with hers. Mu Lan's eyes were half closed and watery. Her breaths were irregular. Feeling passion from Mu Liang's kisses, her face was dyed in red. She circled her arms around Mu Liang's neck and kissed him back the same passion. Realizing her passionate kisses, Mu Liang's fire ignited inside him. His kisses became hungrier. Their tongues grew numb and they tasted blood in their mouths. Feeling the pain, Mu Lan found it weird. Why does it feel so real? Wait. Is it actually real and not a dream? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 183, I Must Be Dreaming. Chapter 183, I Must Be Dreaming. Feeling the pain from the kisses and tasting blood, Mu Lan found it weird. Why does it feel so real? Wait. Is it actually real and not a dream? She frowned. Mu Lan opened her eyes while kissing the man before her. The face she saw was very familiar. She held him close and didn't stop kissing him even once. Mu Lan blinked few times and thought that the image in front of her would go away. However, Mu Liang deepened the kiss. He showed no sign to end their passionate moment after waiting for a whole week. Mu Lan moved her hands on his back and his ears, his face as well as his neck. She felt his warmth. She could smell his manly odor. Her hands traced on his chest. She could feel his heartbeats. How can this dream be so real? Is it really him? When she didn't know what to believe, she pinched her waist hard. Unable to bear the pain, she abruptly sat up, ending the stormy moment. Mu Liang's eyes were dark and full of desire. He opened his mouth a little to take heavy breaths. Looking at her perplexed face, he controlled himself and asked, "What's wrong?" Mu Lan asked, Liang? She was still baffled and doubtful at the same time. Mu Liang became alerted and questioned her back. "Yes, tell me. What's wrong?" Mu Lan's eyes widened. She was still breathing heavily. She stretched her both hands. She touched his face, eyes, nose, lips, neck, and chest. Her hands stopped over his beating heart. It was going crazy. "I must be dreaming," Mu Lan said in a daze. Mu Liang took her right wrist in his left hand and made her touch his cheek. "Does it feel dream to you?" he asked as his eyes showed all the love he had for her. "You are real." She wanted to ask, but it became a statement. Mu Liang smiled. His smile was heavenly. He replied, "I am." His voice was never so gentle as now. "No, I mean that. You are really here, with me." Mu Lan's voice hitched. It was truly unbelievable for her to believe. Mu Liang still replied the same, "I am." Tears welled up in her eyes and started to fall like a rain. Not able to see her condition, Mu Liang hugged her tightly. He gently whispered, "I'm sorry. I'm late." Mu Lan sobbed. She said, Liang, you are late." "I was in pain. A lot. I thought that I will never see you again. I missed you a lot." She cried and cried. She made Mu Liang's shirt drenched in her tears. Mu Lan said as she hugged him tightly, "Don't leave my side. Stay with me. Always." Mu Liang kissed her tears away. He replied, Yes. I will stay with you always. I won't leave your side ever." After crying for a while, Mu Lan stopped talking and didn't say anything anymore. She only hugged Mu Liang with all her might. Of course, Mu Liang was feeling good that she was this clingy to him. But it also made him worried because it was out of her character. He asked her if she was hungry or needed to take a bath. However, Mu Lan didn't reply. She slightly sobbed and hugged him. Mu Liang took her to the bathroom. He wanted to see if she would reject it. He took off her clothes and gave her a warm bath. Then he wiped her body and dried her hair. He helped her to brush her teeth and then gave her another dress to wear. Mu Lan sobbed lightly. She was looking at Mu Liang. Her eyes didn't leave him for a second. Still neither did she make a sound, nor did she blush. Mu Liang was extremely worried. He took her in his arms in the princess style and headed to the downstairs. The whole castle was lit up. Some of their forces sleeping, some of them playing cards, and some of them were watching television. Mu Feng was sleeping on the sofa of the drawing room. Mu Liang took her to the kitchen. It had a large space. It was neat and clean. 2 of their men were cooking for everyone. The kitchen was filled with the aroma of foods. He helped her sitting on a chair and gave her a glass of hot milk. She drank half of the glass without hesitation and then pushed it to him as if telling him to drink the milk too. Mu Liang obediently listened to her and drank the half of the glass of milk. One of the men who was cooking gave them a tray full of corn soup and chicken vegetable pasta. It was a simple dinner. But to Mu Liang and Mu Lan, it was delicious. Mu Liang fed her first. Then he took his meal. Later, Mu Lan hugged him and gave him a big yawn. Taking the clue, Mu Liang took her to the bedroom and made her sleep. It was a hard job to make her fall asleep. Mu Lan's hand was tightly grabbing Mu Liang's shirt. Unable to take his shirt off of her hand, he took off his shirt and wore a new shirt from Xian's wardrobe. It was shorter in size and uncomfortable. Still, he wore it and slightly closed the door. Mu Liang went to the next room to meet Grandpa Lu. He knocked at the door. Grandpa Lu was looking at Mu Lan's medical report. Hearing the knock, he looked at Mu Liang. He asked, "Is everything all right, child?" Mu Liang entered and said, "She suddenly stopped talking. Apart from it, she is doing fine." "No strange behavior?" Grandpa Lu asked. "She doesn't let go of my side at all," Mu Liang said. He didn't sound like he was complaining. He was rather enjoying it. Grandpa Lu sighed. "She is having a psychological trauma. She thinks that you will disappear again. She is just afraid like a little kid." Then he smiled and continued, "She trusts you a lot." Mu Liang sighed in relief. Then he frowned. "What about she is not talking? It is not any psychological breakdown. She isn't talking because she simply doesn't want to. Give her some time to relax. When she will think that she is safe, she will talk on her own," Grandpa Lu patiently said. Then he stood up and said, "Let me check her condition." "Okay," Mu Liang replied and followed the doctor. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 184, I Will Protect You. Chapter 184, I Will Protect You. When Mu Liang and Grandpa Lu went to the bedroom, Mu Lan was still clutching Mu Liang's shirt. Grandpa Lu coughed lightly and said, "I think you should put on your shirt. The shirt you are wearing now is a little shorter for you. You must feel uncomfortable." Mu Liang changed back to his shirt. Looking back at Xian's shirt, he felt his mood improved a bit. "This shorty is no match for me," Mu Liang thought. Grandpa Lu checked Mu Lan's temperature, pulse, and took a tube of blood. He then told Mu Liang to stay here and turned to go back to his room. Mu Liang suddenly said, "Wait." Grandpa Lu looked at him and asked, "What is it, child?" Mu Liang answered, "I told you to bring 3 tubes of R0. Grandpa Lu's body tensed. He started sweating. He said, "I did bring them. However, I don't want to give it to anyone." Mu Liang asked coldly, "Do you think I'm going to do anything immoral?" Grandpa Lu shook his head. He replied in a hurry, "No, my child. I just cannot trust anyone with this. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not. I want only 1 tube and I'm not asking for it." Mu Liang sharply stated. "You do want to compensate for your crime, right?" Grandpa Lu's heart shook. "So, this is it. Never harm Mu family. Or you will never get away from them," he thought. Grandpa Lu replied, "I understand. I'll give you a tube." Then he left. Grandpa Lu brought his briefcase with him from his laboratory. He checked Mu Lan's blood on the laptop. Grandpa Lu sent the blood samples data to his grandson, Lu Feng. Lu Feng immediately checked the data and found no suspicious poison or drug. He called his grandpa and told him the result. Grandpa Lu sighed in relief. He took out a tube which contained R0. He took a deep breath and headed to the next room and knocked on the door. Then he went inside and watching the scene in front of him, his face was flushed. Mu Liang was stroking Mu Lan's hair lovingly and lightly kissing her mouth all over. It was an unbelievable scene which poor grandpa wasn't prepared for. He coughed slightly to cover up his embarrassment. Mu Liang looked at him curiously. He wanted to know the result. Grandpa Lu first gave him the tube. Mu Liang grabbed it and tried to take it. However, Grandpa Lu didn't let go. When he saw that Mu Liang's eyes turned cold again, he hesitantly asked, "You won't research about it, will you?" Mu Liang replied, "No." His voice was firm. The person who never lied had everyone's trust and respect. Grandpa Lu sighed and let go of the tube. Her blood is clean. There is no poison or drug left with the blood cells. She is physically fine, Grandpa Lu said in a low voice. He was afraid of waking Mu Lan up. Then he added, just take care of her. After saying what he wanted, Grandpa Lu hurriedly left. He went to the next room where he was staying and called his grandson. After the second ring, Feng answered the call. Hello, Grandpa, what's wrong? Grandpa Lu bickered, rascal, your friend is on the way of having children. Why are you still single? Get a girlfriend and have a child. I want a great-grandchild in a year. Got it? Not waiting for the reply from his dumbstruck grandchild, Grandpa Lu hung up. Back in France, Feng was researching a medicine. After getting scolded by his grandpa out of nowhere, he was practically stunned. His mind was completely blown away. It was good that Feng wasn't here, or he would make fun of Feng for the rest of their lives. Feng sighed and looked outside through the window. A few minutes later, Feng entered the bedroom where Mu Lan was sleeping. He looked worriedly at Mu Lan and asked in a low voice, how is sister-in-law? Mu Liang answered, she thinks I'll disappear. So, she is afraid. Feng was clearly upset. He mumbled, lack of security. He worked so hard to make Mu Lan feel easier and friendlier. And everything was destroyed by this military man. He was annoyed. And when he learned that his dear sister-in-law was suffering the same pain just like Qiang for 4 days, he went nuts. Feng was worried about his brother. But Mu Liang was extremely calm, making himself even scarier. Mu Liang handed his brother a glass tube. Feng looked at it and asked, is this our zero? Mu Liang said shortly. Then he looked at his brother and said, you know what to do. Something cold flashed in a blink in Mu Feng's eyes. It was like when a snake went for its prey, it had a cruel, sly, and vicious look. If anyone would look at Mu Feng's eyes right now, they would wet their pants. Mu Feng lightly said, I understand, big brother. Mu Liang was hugging Mu Lan in his arms. He slept a lot in the evening, so he was awake. Suddenly, Mu Lan murmured in a pained voice, pain. Pain. I can't take it anymore. Liang. Her breaths were irregular. She was frowning and sweating a lot. She rolled nervously. Her body was tensed. Mu Liang was alerted. He rubbed her face tenderly and asked, what's wrong? However, Mu Lan didn't say anything. Her pained expression became soft as she felt the warm touch on her face. She relaxed her body. Still, she was grabbing onto Mu Liang's shirt. Mu Liang realized that she had a nightmare. He hugged her close to his chest and murmured in her left ear, I'm here. Everything is okay now. No one will hurt you. I will protect you. His eyes were gentle. He kissed her left ear softly a few times. Then he looked at the ceiling. In a second, Mu Liang's eyes turned icy cold. They dared to harm her. Who was the person that injected my wife? A female doctor? She will know the taste of her own medicine. Mu Liang hugged tightly the slim body. His heart sank to measure her waist. Mu Lan couldn't sleep or eat when she was poisoned. So, she became thinner. Her jawline became sharper. Mu Liang kissed her forehead and closed his eyes. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 185, Continue your act. Chapter 185, Continue your ACT. When Mu couple was sleeping soundly, the Chinese army was looking for all the suspects of Operation R0. However, no matter how they searched for Dr. Han Jia, they couldn't find her. According to the weight of the crime, General Ru was punished to execution for treason. Xian's grandfather had a heart attack hearing his son's deed. Other suspects were proven guilty and they were also executed. However, Major General Ru Xin was proven innocent. He was not a part of the operation, and also, he was forced to kidnap a French citizen. Still, he kidnapped and he was guilty of that. But he took care of the kidnapper when she was poisoned. So, he got a light punishment. He was stripped from his designation for a year and was to be kept in a house arrest. Feng hired the best attorney of China for Ru Xin. He really didn't want this Xin guy to be free from his crime so easily, but his sister-in-law said that this Xin guy saved her, so they should also help him. Feng sighed, recalling her tears and her pained face. In the end, he consoled himself saying, well, if my big brother is cold-hearted, then his better half should be soft-hearted. After all, I don't want my nieces to become the next generation Yen Su. Before Ru Xin was taken away, Feng asked him, I know you are a man of talent and intelligence, then how did you mistake my sister-in-law for Qiying? Hearing the phrase sister-in-law, Ru Xin felt mortified. He replied curtly, a disgusting woman told me that little Lan was Qiying, but Ru Xin didn't say, in the dark, I couldn't see well. Feng frowned and tapped his mobile. He found a photo and put his mobile in front of Ru Xin. He asked, is that her? Ru Xin saw the picture of Endan. He instantly recognized her. As he saw the picture, his eyes narrowed. Feng got what he wanted to know. He left the court and called his big brother. 2 days after the execution of General Ru and his crime partners, Dr. Han Jia was discovered by a passerby. More specifically, her corpse was found. Her body was detected in a dark alley, close to a red light district. Blood was gushing out from her eyes, nose, ears, and mouth. She had a painful expression all over her face. A syringe was found clutched in her right hand. In the post-mortem report, no suspicious drug was found. There was nothing in the syringe either. Her death was quite suspicious. In the meantime, Mu Liang took Mu Lan to France. Xi family was already detained. Both Qi Jiaming and Qi Yan were in jail. They couldn't bail out because of Mu Liang's pressure to upper officials. Xiang came to visit Mu Lan in the Mu mansion. She was worried sick for her beloved friend. She was also feeling guilty for what her family did to Mu Lan. However, Mu Lan's mental health still wasn't stabilized. She neither wanted to meet anyone nor did she wish to talk. Xiang had no option but to leave with a broken heart. Feng didn't have time to stay beside his beloved. He could only console her over the cell phone. Mu Lan only stayed beside Mu Liang and didn't let him go even for a blink. Mu Liang was, of course, enjoying his time at home. Wherever he went, Mu Lan would stalk behind him. But the problem arose when the nature called. How could Mu Liang take her to the toilet with him? He had only one choice left. That was after Mu Lan was in deep sleep, he could only then go to the toilet. Aside from that, he would accompany her in the bath, in the dining room, in the bedroom, everywhere. He would even help her in the toilet. Feng once asked, are you sure that you will marry her and not take her as your adopted daughter? He came to check up Mu Lan's health. Her physical condition was improving. Mu Liang replied, training myself to be a good father. Feng was speechless. He only wanted to tease his friend. He didn't want to hear his friend's future plan. And here, Feng was still a single. All his girlfriends were stolen by Feng. He discovered something. One Mu brother was giving him dog food. The other Mu brother was making him a broken heart. Finally, he realized something. Mu brothers were heartless. Feng came to join the conversation. Feng, it has been a while since I saw you. Tell me, how many girls broke up with you? Feng's face turned red. He said, Feng, still alive, I see. Do you still live in your bar drowning in the whiskey? Feng gave his brightest smile and said, I'm not a single anymore, unlike certain someone. Lu Feng gave him the same type of smile and said in reply, "At least, I'm not that type of boyfriend who let his girlfriend be molested in the dorm." Mu Feng's face turned red this time. He gritted his teeth. "You?" Mu Liang sighed. Whenever Mu Feng and Lu Feng were together, they just had to talk against each other. In other places, even people with same face and name got along. But these two could never get along. Mu Lan beside them was looking at those two Feng bickering at each other, just like children. Finding it somehow funny, she laughed aloud, making the three men inside the study room startled at once. They didn't hear her laugh for a long time. Mu Liang looked at her in a daze. He was sitting beside her on the sofa. He stretched his one hand and hugged her closer. Mu Liang said, "They are funny, aren't they? We should laugh at them." Then he looked at the two Fengs who were feeling rage. Mu Liang said, "The two of them, why did you stop? Continue your act." It sounded like an order. Lu Feng. Mu Feng. What are we? Clowns? They thought at the same time. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 186, Say That You Like Me. Chapter 186, Say That You Like Me. Mu Liang woke up at his usual time in the morning. When he opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was a beauty sleeping soundly on his chest. Mu Liang was in Mu Lan's bedroom. He was on the bed, while Mu Lan was sleeping on his body. Her head was on his chest as her hands were around him. It had been 2 weeks since Mu Lan came to the mansion. She acted normal in front of everyone of this household. But still, she didn't talk to anyone. It had already been 3 weeks that she missed her class. But she gave no sign of recovering. However, yesterday she laughed at Lu Feng and Mu Feng. Mu Liang looked at the woman in his embrace. Looking at her sleeping form, he couldn't help but caress her supple face. "When am I going to hear your lovely voice again?" Mu Liang mumbled. Mu Lan stirred her body. She opened her eyes and gazed at the handsome man under her. Her sleepy gaze melted Mu Liang's heart. He asked, "Do you want to get up?" Mu Lan didn't reply him. She just gazed at him silently. Her silent gaze was unbearable. Mu Liang said in a pained voice, "Are you still mad at me? I really am sorry. I won't let you get abducted in my presence next time. Please believe in me. I can't bear your silent treatment anymore. I miss your sweet voice. I miss your calling me Liang Liang. I miss your laughter. I miss your cute requests. Please don't torment me anymore." Mu Lan seemed to think of something after hearing Mu Liang's painful complaints. Finally, she opened her mouth. "Tell me that you like me." Her expression was blank. Her eyes were as clear as water. Mu Liang could not read her feelings at all. He hugged the girl closer and lightly kissed her lips. He noticed that her body tensed. Mu Liang put his mouth closer to her right ear and said in a deep voice, "I love you." A few seconds later, he felt that Mu Lan was trembling. Soon, his night pajama began to get wet. "Did I say something wrong?" Mu Liang panicked. He held her tighter and asked, "What's wrong?" He heard a muffled sound, "You, stupid, Liang Liang." Mu Lan was feeling guilty. The moment she realized that she had been rescued by Mu Liang, whom she didn't trust in the beginning. She was tormented by the fact that he really came to save her. "Is there anyone who will do something like this for me?" she thought. What did I do? Who was I in the past that made him want me so much? He wiped out my history. He created a new identity for me. He gave me a new life. Why would he do so many things only for me? The more she thought about all these, the more she was at unrest. However, she could not find an answer. Mu Lan didn't know what happened to Xin and the others. She could guess that something worse must have happened to them, just like what happened to the students who tried to harm Qing. She thought, if I become dependent on Liang, will there be a day that he will leave me? Will he ever get tired of me? Mu Lan felt frightened. She knew no one except Mu Liang, Mu Feng, the household servants, her friends, her teachers, and her classmates. She knew nothing of this world. The most frightening part was, she knew nothing about herself. So how could she dare to trust others, when she could not trust herself? How could she think that she understood them, while she could not understand herself? Thinking all sort of thing in one night, her brain stopped working. Mu Lan saw that Mu Liang took her home. She saw the old place, old people. She felt nothing. She was supposed to be happy or to be relaxed. But she felt nothing like those things. She didn't feel anything when Mu Liang took her to the bathroom or changed her clothes. Mu Lan had only one thing in her mind, and that was, if she took her eyes away from Mu Liang even for a second, he would disappear. She didn't know where that thought came from, but she wanted to believe in it. There was something she wanted to believe. She looked at the people around her who talked, smiled, bickered. She saw all sort of emotions and their behaviors. I was like them. I was one of them. I was normal. She thought. Then a question came to her mind: what is normal? She pondered for a day. After that, she found her answer. When living things do what they feel is normal. When Lu Feng and Mu Feng were fighting, she tried to laugh. Maybe that's how others do that. Later she asked herself, what am I feeling? That's true. What was she feeling? Emptiness? Liveliness? Was she scared? Yes, she was scared. What was she scared of? She was scared of being betrayed. Where did that come from? Mu Lan didn't know. But she found out her inner fear. The moment she found out the answer, her head became clear. She heard Mu Liang said in a pained voice that how sorry he was feeling. So, Mu Lan asked him to tell her that he liked him. She discovered one thing: Mu Liang never lied. However, unexpectedly he said in a deep voice, I love you. All the suffering she faced, all the fear she felt, demolished in a second. A heavy burden lifted from her shoulder. She cried in relief. Liang is an idiot. Why did he say that? Doesn't that mean he will be forever hers? Doesn't that mean she will be forever his? He always keeps his word. So, it really means that he will love me until the end. I will also stay with him. Even if he wants to let go in future, I'll stick to him. She cried loudly, you, stupid, Liang. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 187, Thank you for saving me. Chapter 187, Thank you for saving me. He heard a muffled sound, you, stupid, Liang. Mu Liang's heart melted her sobbing. He replied, yes. I am stupid. He hugged her tightly and kissed her right temple. Mu Lan said, Liang is an idiot. Mu Liang repeated, yes. I am an idiot. Liang is a bad boy. She complained. He nodded and said, I am a bad boy. Liang is. Mu Lan couldn't find anything else to complain. This man was too perfect. She hit his chest weakly and said, don't be so good to me. Mu Liang stopped stroking her hair. He had a sweet, gentle smile hanging on his lips. He said, then, maybe I should do this. Ah! Mu Lan gave a surprised scream. All of a sudden, Mu Lan's world became upside down as Mu Liang flipped her and held her beneath him. Before she could say anything, her lips were occupied by his warm lips. In an instant, Mu Lan's face turned red. She wanted to move away feeling embarrassed. However, Mu Lan was pinned down by Mu Liang's athletic body. She couldn't budge a bit. Mu Liang's tongue invaded her mouth and twirled hers. Mu Lan sighed. Mu Liang's hands began to move on her body. Mu Lan shivered under his touch. She couldn't take it anymore and broke the kiss. Stop! Stop! Mu Lan nearly screamed. Mu Liang didn't stop. He simply moved his lips to her neck, giving her goosebumps. He asked while decorating her neck with hickeys, "Didn't you say not be nice to you anymore?" "I was wrong. I was wrong. I'm embarrassed. Please stop?" Mu Lan's heart was racing. Mu Liang looked at her as his eyes were full of mischievousness. He tilted his head and his lips almost touched hers. He said, "What is there to be embarrassed about? Didn't I see everything already?" Mu Lan's face dyed in 5 shades of red. Her eyes were wide open and she was looking at his eyes. Mu Liang acted like he was thinking something. Then he said, "If I remember correctly, I even cleaned you after you pooped." "Stop. Stop it. Don't say any more." Mu Lan screamed from the top of her lungs, interrupting him. Her eyes were closed in shame. She could remember everything. There was no need to remind her. It was like a nightmare and she wanted to forget her shameless deeds. When Mu Liang started to remind her everything one by one, Mu Lan wanted to dig a hole and planned to stay there for the rest of her life. She tried to twist her body, but she was held by Mu Liang, who still continued recalling her shameful memories. Mu Lan even tried to cover his mouth. However, her plan failed miserably. Mu Liang was still going on. "Oh, I remember another thing. We almost had sex and fell asleep. Then we slept naked." Not knowing what to do, Mu Lan sealed his mouth with a fierce kiss. Her body was hot in shame. Her face was red. Her eyes were tightly closed as she was kissing him. At the sudden attack on his lips, Mu Liang became stiff. After a while, a sudden flame burned his entire body. He kissed her back with the same passion. His hands started to move again. Mu Lan twisted her body as she gave out a small moan. It ignited Mu Liang's flame and he began to unbutton her sleep shirt. 15 minutes later, the storm calmed down. Mu Liang had mercy on her, seeing her on the verge to collapse. Mu Lan's upper body was exposed in Mu Liang's hungry eyes. Her body was filled with hickeys from her neck to waist. Her body was warm and her bosom was moving up and down as she breathed heavily. Mu Liang looked at her misty eyes filled with tears. He leaned down and softly kissed her eyes to wipe the tears away. Then he hugged her close to his chest and covered their bodies with a quilt. Later, Mu Liang got up and tried to take her to the bathroom. However, Mu Lan struggled her hardest not to bath with him. Seeing her fighting so hard, Mu Liang predicted that she was mentally okay now. He did not need to worry anymore. Still, he wanted to make sure. He went downstairs to his bedroom. He called Feng to come over for Mu Lan's regular checkup. After that, he took a bath. Before Mu Liang strode to the dining room for breakfast, he walked to her room and saw Mu Lan wearing a sweater over her sleeveless dress. Mu Liang hid his smile and took her downstairs. The couple met Feng on the way. Looking at the usual shy Mu Lan, Feng smashed her with his chest and hands happily. "Oh, Sister Lan Lan, I'm so happy that you are okay. I missed you so much." "Hoo hoo." Feng snorted. When Mu Liang saw that Mu Lan was struggling to take oxygen, he knocked his younger brother's head hard. "Ow. What was that for? Big brother, why are you disturbing our brother-sister emotional moment?" Feng complained. However, seeing his elder brother's cold glare, he smiled and said, "Hee hee, our brother-sister lovely, no, emotional moment had come to an end. Let's go and have breakfast." Then he left the couple alone and went hurriedly down. Mu Liang rubbed Mu Lan's red cheek and asked, "Are you all right?" Mu Lan still couldn't look at Mu Liang for what he did in the morning. She simply nodded and walked behind Mu Feng. Mu Liang's heart was full of bliss, looking at her running figure. She looked more like a frightened rabbit. In the dining room, the three of them were having breakfast. Mu Feng said, "Sister Lan Lan, Yan Su said that she is coming at noon with Ing. You can accompany them, right?" Mu Lan nodded as she took a spoon of pudding. She replied, "I miss them." Then she said, "I gave you too much trouble. Thank you for saving me. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 188, Fate of Qi Family. Chapter 188, Fate of Qi Family. Mu Lan said, "I gave you too much trouble. Thank you for saving me." She continued, "It was the most frightening time in my life. I don't know if I was ever scared like that before. But I don't want to encounter things like that in the future." She took a deep breath and said, "I was hoping that Liang would come to save me. I waited and waited. On the wedding day, I lost all my hopes. I thought that you guys had forgotten about me. I was wrong. I am sorry for that." She looked guilty and upset at the same time. "I don't know what actually happened to me, but you all tried hard to stay with me all the time and took care of me. I cannot thank you enough. You have my gratitude." Mu Lan smiled at the Mu brothers as tears threatened to fall from her eyes. Mu Feng almost cried out after hearing such an emotional speech from his dear sister-in-law. He said in a sobbing tone, "It's nothing, Sister Lan Lan. I can even die for my dear sister Lan Lan." Mu Liang coldly replied, "You don't have to. Take care of your own woman." Then he looked at his right side and reached his right hand towards Mu Lan. He wiped her tears away and said tenderly, "You don't have to feel bad. If you need help, only your husband has the right to help you with all he has, isn't that right?" Mu Lan began to nod and suddenly understood what Mu Liang meant by his words. Her body turned rigid and her face flushed in red. Mu Feng sighed and said, Okay, I had enough. I'm full." He got up from his chair, leaving the couple alone. "Damn, I'm missing." Mu Feng scowled. He sent a text to Qi Ying. "My lovely wife, I spent countless nights thinking only of you." A few seconds later, Qi Ying sent a reply. It was an emoticon where a dog was kicking another dog's *SS. Mu Feng. With a long face, Mu Feng went to the office. There was so much work to do. Mu Liang stayed at home. He was at the shed in the vegetable garden, working with laptop. He kept an eye on the girl who was trying to catch fishes from the pond. He saw Mu Lan playing with Oscar. Oscar was very happy to meet his playmate again. He licked Mu Lan's cheek and Mu Lan giggled in happiness. Mu Liang wanted to call Lucy so that Oscar would stay away from Mu Lan. However, looking at her childish laughter, he refrained. He tried to control himself and tasted vinegar whole morning. While Mu Lan and Oscar were playing with butterflies and eating carrots, Yan Su and Qi Ying came in the garden. Yan Su hugged Mu Lan tightly from behind, giving her a jump. "Damn you, Lan. I was so worried about you." Her voice carried a bit of worry. Mu Lan laughed lightly and hugged her back. She looked at Qi Ying, who was on the verge of crying. Qi Ying, who never showed her emotion in the public, hugged Mu Lan from the right side and said, "I'm so sorry, Xiao Lan. Because of me, you had to go through so much pain." Yan Su sighed and said, "Hey Ying, can you stop crying? Look, Xiao Lan is all right. She isn't harmed at all." She gave her crying friend a pat on the head. Mu Lan hugged Qi Ying and said, "I'm okay now. Don't worry. It was good that you weren't abducted. Or else, I can't even imagine what could have happened. How's your family? I heard She didn't continue. Xiang wiped her tears and said, Dad is still in jail. He got what he deserved. Brother Yang was proven innocent, so he was bailed out by my mom. Dad will have to stay in jail for 20 years. Brother is trying to bail out Dad, but it is all in vain. I know that Feng's elder brother will never let him out of the jail. Mu Lan felt bad and said, I'm sorry. Because of me. Xiang shook her head and interrupted her, What are you apologizing for? If it wasn't for my dad's cruelty, you wouldn't have to suffer. I also suffered the same way because of him. How could he do this to his only daughter? It is unacceptable. He deserves the punishment. Yansu said to Qiang, I heard that your brother was looking for Feng, an elder cousin. However, they didn't meet him even once. Not only that, Mu Corporation stopped corresponding with Qi Corporation. Mu Lan asked, Won't it be bad for Qi family? Yansu replied, Well, of course. I mean, Mu Corporation holds the most of the shares of other businesses. Qi Corporation is just the second one. Just think what will happen if Mu Corporation pulls out from the projects where Qi Corporation is involved. Qi Ying's face turned pale. No matter what she said, she still cared for her family and business. Mu Lan felt bad and gave Yansu a signal to stop. Yansu changed the topic immediately. Oh, Lan dear, you have no idea how popular you have become in the school. I got the assignment of writing an article regarding your painting. I got 5-star for that. Yansu beamed. Mu Lan was stunned. Really? It's been almost a month. Everything will die down soon. She offered her 2 friends each a banana. Yansu grinned as she said, totally opposite. Many students started looking for you. When they couldn't find you, they became even more curious about your identity. Mu Lan's face darkened. If they were to find my connection with Mu family. However, she couldn't finish her thought. Because Qiang clutched her stomach with left hand and her right hand was on her mouth. Oi, are you alright? Yansu panicked. Mu Lan got up quickly and took Qiang with her. She took Qiang to the ground floor bathroom and Qiang vomited. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 189, You are pregnant. Chapter 189, You are pregnant. Mu Lan got up quickly and took Qiang with her. She took Qiang to the first floor bathroom and Qiang vomited. Yansu frowned and asked, What is wrong with her? Mu Lan replied, Don't ask me what I want to ask you. Yansu said, Sorry. But I don't recollect of her being sick like this before. Mu Lan thought for a moment and said, Dr. Lu Feng is coming over to check my health. So he can treat her as well. Yansu's right eyebrow twitched. Oh, I see. Fine then. After Qiang finished vomiting, Mu Lan gave her a glass of water to rinse her mouth. Qiang rinsed her mouth and then Yansu helped her to go to Mu Feng's bedroom. Qiang laid down. Just then Yansu asked, Did you eat anything wrong before we got out of the campus? Qiang shook her head weakly and asked back, Have you forgotten that I don't want to eat anything? Yansu laughed and said, Don't tell me that you are pregnant? In the next instant, Qiang's face turned pale. Looking at her face, Yansu, who was sitting on the bed, jumped up. She screamed, What the hell? For real? Mu Lan entered the room with a tray. She heard Yansu's loud voice and her heart trembled. Mu Lan looked at the pale Qiang and exclaimed, Xiaoying, you are pregnant. Qiang mumbled, I'm not sure. But my appetite has become low. I nauseate at the smell of food. Even my periods is late. Yansu frowned. She tapped her mobile and called someone. After the third ring, someone answered the call. A polite voice said, Ms. Jin, I'm a little busy. Can we talk later? Hearing the way he talked, Yan-su felt like someone fumed her anger. She screamed, "Lu Feng! If you don't bring 2 pregnancy kits to the Mu mansion, don't even dare to enter, because I'm here." Without waiting for his reply, she hung up on him. Lu Feng was at the Lu Research Center. He was organizing Mu Lan's medical report. Hearing what Yan-su said, he dropped all the papers. There was a storm in Lu Feng's head. Who is pregnant? Mu Lan? Or Yan-su? Before he could think much, he was brought back from his trail of thoughts when somebody suddenly called him. "Dr. Lu? Dr. Lu, are you all right?" His assistant worriedly asked. Lu Feng took the fallen papers from his assistant and said, "Bring me 2 pregnancy test kits." His face was rather pale. His assistant was dumbfounded. Never in a million years, he would have thought that his boss would ask him for pregnancy test kits with a pale face. Lu Feng asked, "Didn't I tell you to bring me 2?" He couldn't continue. The assistant hurriedly left and soon brought 2 pregnancy test kits. Lu Feng said, "You don't have to go to the Mu mansion. Just stay here." The assistant was about to get in the car. He stopped in his tracks and said, "Okay, boss." He was left behind totally astounded as Lu Feng drove away. The assistant was about to fall on the floor. Did boss really ask for pregnancy test kits? He blinked as he was staring the way Lu Feng drove away. Lu Feng took the shortest route to reach the Mu mansion. On reaching there, he met Mu Liang on his way at the downstairs. "You have come early," Mu Liang said. He was going upstairs from the garden and met his friend at the entrance. Lu Feng's face turned pale. He asked nervously, "Is Yan-su there?" Mu Liang's right eyebrow rose up. He nonchalantly said, "So it seems." Mu Liang signaled Alice, who was Mu Lan's personal maid, to go upstairs and find Mu Lan. Alice went upstairs and saw Mu Lan and her friends in Mu Feng's bedroom. She informed Mu Lan that Dr. Lu Feng came to check up on her. Mu Lan requested Alice to bring Dr. Lu Feng up here because Qiying was sick. Alice reported it to Mu Liang and he called head butler Leo. "Go with Lu Feng." Qiying was Mu Feng's lover and his future bride. So Mu family held responsibility towards her. Hearing about Qiying's sickness, Lu Feng felt a bit relieved. Nothing skipped Mu Liang though. Earlier he noticed that Qiying was on the verge of throwing up and the 3 friends were being secretive. If it was something huge, then Mu Lan would tell him. Then Lu Feng came with a pale face. Mu Liang could guess what was happening. Lu Feng entered the room after head butler Leo announced their arrival. He immediately asked, "What's wrong?" In front of butler Leo, the girls couldn't open their mouths. So their lips were sealed. Lu Feng checked Mu Lan's health and found out that everything was normal. Then he looked at Qiying and said with a polite smile, "It has been a while, Ms. Qi. May I check your health?" The girls didn't want to be found out by the head butler. Or else the news would reach Mu Liang and Mu Feng. Qiying wanted to keep it a secret. She didn't want to burden Mu Feng. If she was pregnant and Mu Feng had to marry her, then Qi Yang or Qi Jiaming would push all the responsibilities of Qi Corporation to Mu Feng. If Mu Feng didn't do as his in-laws said, then he would be criticized. It might hamper Mu Feng as well as Mu Corporation's reputation. Qiying knew her father very well. Qi Jiaming would do anything for his company. He even sold out his one and only daughter. Understanding the reasoning, Yan-su dragged Lu Feng out of the room and brought him to Mu Feng's private bar. "Where are the kits? Give them to me," she said. "First tell me who needs it," Lu Feng calmly said. His heart was about to burst due to nervousness. He took out the pregnancy test kits. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 190, Why do you care? Chapter 190, Why do you care? First tell me who needs it. Feng calmly said. His heart was about to burst due to nervousness. He took out the pregnancy test kits. Su, I need them. Happy? She tried to snatch the kits and Feng didn't let her take them. Feng's heart sank. He asked, what did you say? Su was already out of patience. She said, give me the kits. She again tried to snatch them away. However, Feng was not the little boy who was once defeated by the mighty Su. Feng moved his right hand away where he held the kits. As Su tried to catch them, she fell on his firm chest. He immediately caught her. Su felt embarrassed. She moved away and glared at him. She asked him out of irritation, what's with you? Feng asked, why do you need them? His eyes were sharp. Su felt inferior at his gaze. She hissed, don't you know why a woman needs stuffs like that? Are you stupid? Now I really doubt if you are a doctor. Feng's eyes turned cold. He asked, what did you do? With whom? Su put her hands on her waist and said, why do you care? She was already getting nervous by his stare. Not getting any answer from Su, Feng grabbed her right hand tightly with his left hand. Su was irritated. She asked, what's with you? Let go. Let go. Butler Leo and Mu Lan couldn't tell what they were talking about, but they saw the calm and collected scholar doctor was grabbing Su's hand and struggling not to let go. Both Mu Lan and head butler didn't know what to say. A minute later, Feng let go of her hand and said, good. You are not pregnant. Then he frowned while saying, you are not pregnant. Sweet Bunny is not pregnant. Don't tell me, you asked these kids for Ms. Chi? Su already frowned when she heard him saying Sweet Bunny. What a nickname. Who could be that woman who was so intimate with him? She thought. For some reason, she really had a lower IQ. She had no idea that Feng called Sweet Bunny to only one person, and that was Mu Lan. Feng already strode towards Mu Feng's bedroom. He looked at Qi and said politely, Ms. Ying, you are sick. So my friend Liang told me to check up on you too. Please cooperate with me. He lied to check Qi Ying's pulse. Qi Ying's face turned as white as paper. She said hurriedly, I'm really fine, Dr. Lu. You don't have to. But you fell sick after you came here. Of course, Mu family will be worried about you. Please think of your boyfriend's feelings too. Feng said with a polite smile. Su could only stand at the bedside and watch the scene silently alongside head butler. She had no power in the mansion. If it was her house, then Feng would probably be dead by now. Feng checked Qi Ying's pulse, her eyes, and her tongue. He asked her a few questions and Qi Ying had to reply to everything. Feng took notes and said, Ms. Qi, due to tension and mental pressure, you lost appetite. You cannot tolerate food or its smell. And as you ate carrot, the sweet smell caused you to vomit. Please take more care of yourself. It will be better if you stay with your loved ones happily. I'll prescribe some vitamins, please take them regularly. Qi Ying was looking at Feng with a stupefied face. Mu Lan and Su were also stunned. Qi Ying couldn't ask in front of the butler, but her eyes were full of questions. Feng wrote a prescription and gave it to butler Leo. Then he grabbed Su and dragged her away. One of you guys are pregnant? How could you scare me like that? Feng scolded Su. He was so relieved that he didn't notice that his tone became gentle towards Su. Su pouted. She said, how would I know if she wasn't pregnant or not? I'm not a doctor. She puked and didn't want to eat. So we wanted to test her pregnancy. You are the one who made it more dramatic. Feng's eyes rose up. I made it dramatic? Who told you to say that you needed the kits? You are still as dim-witted as ever. Yan Su glared at him. She bickered, dim-witted? You are dim-witted, your whole family is dim-witted? So what if I need the kits? I can date anyone. I can sleep with any man, Yan Su's lips were suddenly sealed by the scholar man in front of her. She was too surprised to close her eyes. She saw his handsome face and long eyelashes. She also found out that his lips were warm. Yan Su's face turned deep red. She tried to push Lu Feng away. But before she could do that, Lu Feng moved away. He laughed coldly before saying, I will see which man will dare to fall for a tomboy like you. I can already see your forever single future. All the best with sleeping with men. Lu Feng left the bar. He went straight to Mu Liang's study to discuss about Mu Lan's condition. He was relieved that Mu Lan was okay. On the contrary, Yan Su was boiling. Lu Feng's words went straight to her bones. She wanted to burn everything around her. However, it wasn't her home. She had to control herself. But still, she was flaring up inside. Normally, Yan Su would care less about what other people said. But Lu Feng's words went straight down her body, because what he said was right. No men dared to date her, less even ask for a party date. Because she conquered men since she was a child. No boy would dare to be her friend while the girls saw her like a gangster because of her always ready for a war attitude. There was only one man who dared to propose her because he really liked her for who she was. But she defeated him in a hand-to-hand combat and insulted him in front of everyone. It couldn't be helped. They were all teenagers and teenagers always made stupid mistakes. Now that the boy became a fine man and overpowered her by suddenly kissing her. Then threw her a challenge and insulted her because of her so-called manly attitude, how could a proud girl like her accept it? But if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 191, Wife of the Business Emperor Mu Liang. Chapter 191, Wife of the Business Emperor Mu Liang. Shanghai. Li Corporation. It was a bright morning. Everyone was busy in the office. The employees were all in a rush. General Ru's death was still news in China. Si Gwen was reporting the current situation of the new project they started working on. That's when someone burst into the president's office. Guess what I found out? A mocking voice told. Shang, your manners seem to be lacking nowadays. President Li said coldly. A vein popped on his temple. Li Shang looked at his brother and said, Do you know that General Ru is dead? President Li shrugged. Who doesn't know this news? Don't give me rotten news. He went back to work. Li Shang further asked, Did you know that he was punished for treason? His eyes were glowing with excitement. Any bloody news was enough to catch his attention. President Li stopped working and asked his brother, Come again. Li Shang replied with a sly smile, General Ru was trying to launch an operation. It was against the law. So he and his comrades were punished for treason. I heard that General Ru's father was the one who was behind all this. But since he was already nearing hell, the law only put him on house arrest. President Li was shocked hearing the story. He praised his younger brother inwardly. The government was really quiet about General Ru's death. Very few people had the details of the incident. Li Shang was the head of the Chinese underworld. Therefore, he could gather news like that. He had a good informant. Looking at President Li's expression, Li Shang was satisfied. Feeling smug, he continued, And do you want to know what happened to Major General Ru? He was house arrested too and was stripped off the army. President Li's right eyebrow lifted up. He asked, Was he also a part of the operation? It doesn't sound like him. President Li had met Ru Xin few times at parties. He was a perfect gentleman. Ruoxian never had too much alcohol and always stayed away from women. He even had a good reputation at the army. Li Sheng's eyes glowed. He said, Ruoxian did the most unbelievable thing. President Li frowned while asking, what do you mean? Li Sheng replied, he kidnapped the wife of the business emperor Mu Liang. President Li stared at his brother for a couple of seconds. He tried to figure out if his younger brother was lying or not. Later he asked, still he's just on a house arrest? Li Sheng also found it unbelievable. He said, rumors had it that Mu Liang's wife requested her husband not to punish him. Therefore, Mu Liang didn't charge him. He paused for a while, then continued. He is a legend. Who has the ability to tie him down? To think that he actually listened to his wife, then it must be that she is no ordinary woman, but Si Gwen at the same time added, and a kind-hearted woman too. She forgave her kidnapper. Which rich woman does that nowadays? Li Sheng nodded in reply. He stretched his lips. He was thinking, women are so fake. What a drama queen! When President Li heard Si Gwen mention a kind-hearted woman, he was taken aback. Hua Lan's kind smile appeared on his mind all of a sudden. Suddenly he felt irritated. He asked, if you have the time to listen to the rumor, then I think you also have the time to investigate it further. Li Sheng was surprised at what his elder brother just said. He asked, you want me to investigate it further? President Li coldly looked at his younger brother. He said, a man came from Europe and made whole of China upside down, and as the leader of the Chinese underworld, you had no idea about it. Do you think this is funny? Li Sheng looked at his brother and didn't say anything. He was having fun at a tropical island when this incident took place. So he had no clue about what happened to General Ru. When he came back, he found out the news of General Ru's death. Li Sheng said, I will look into it. Then he went out. His face looked like he tasted venom. President Li looked at his secretary and asked, why don't we arrange an international competition? The question came out of the blue. Si Gwen didn't know how to answer. He asked again to confirm, international competition, boss? President Li nodded. He said, a competition for the programmers to make an online game. Si Gwen caught what his boss wanted to say. Boss actually wants to create an opportunity to look for Little Miss. He was stunned. Few months ago, President Li went to Italy for a week. It wasn't on official purposes. That time, Si Gwen didn't know why his boss suddenly went to Italy. Now he understood that it was to look for Little Mississippi. Si Gwen said, but boss, this is not our criteria. President Li interrupted his secretary. We have the best IT team. Can't they handle a mere online game? Si Gwen couldn't find anything to say. He tried for the last time. But boss, we won't find a single sponsor to help us in this project. Everyone knows that we don't have a game department. President Li said, I will give you 2 months to create a game department. Then we will arrange a competition. Si Gwen was sweating. He asked, about the game, which game should we launch? President Li thought for a while. Then said, Car Race 4-99. Si Gwen froze on the spot. Car Race 4-99 was created by Hua Lan. It was her last attempt to express her love to President Li. She gifted the program to President Li. But he broke the disc by smashing it with his left leg and told her that he was going to marry her older sister. Si Gwen could not forget Hua Lan's face that time. His heart broke at the sight. Si Gwen started, Boss, we don't have the rights to launch it. President Li's eyes narrowed. He asked, what do you mean, ? Si Gwen stammered, after you rejected it, a Little Miss sold the game to Mu Corporation. His body began to tremble. President Li stayed still like a wooden statue. Then his blood started boiling. He couldn't hold his anger any longer and said, "Scram. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 192, What is Rightfully Hers? Chapter 192, What is Rightfully Hers? Meanwhile, in France, at Mu Mansion, the girl who created the online game was teasing Yen Su. "So, the person you tried to seduce all this time was actually Dr. Lu Feng? I have to admit that I didn't think of that," Mu Lan said. She had an astounded face and tried hard not to smile. Yen Su was upset. Someone actually dared to kiss her lips in front of Butler Leo and her friends. Her all-fierce reputation was tarnished within seconds. Xiying smiled looking at her two friends. She was feeling much better. They were having lunch in the dining room. Yen Su was fuming with rage. "I don't like him. I hate him. He is my enemy. How dare he to take away my first kiss?" Mu Lan blinked. First kiss? She thought that Yen Su was very experienced at it. It looked like Mu Lan was wrong. On the contrary, it was she who had more experience in kissing and other things. But Xiying definitely was the most experienced of the three of them. Thinking of what happened earlier this morning, Mu Lan's face flushed. Yen Su teased, "Dear Lan is surely perverted. She can imagine such horny stuffs and can blush in broad daylight." Mu Lan chided, "Who is thinking of horny stuffs? It is you who is thinking perverted things." Yen Su asked, "Then why are you blushing?" To save herself from such an embarrassing situation, Mu Lan put her hand on her forehead and said, "I feel a little cold. Am I having a fever?" Before Yen Su and Xiying could say anything, Mu Liang entered the dining room and heard Mu Lan's last sentence, "Am I having a fever?" Immediately he went to Mu Lan and gently removed her hand before putting his right palm on her forehead. Yen Su. Xiying. Mu Lan's face burnt even more. She wanted to move away from his touch. But this time, Mu Liang took her swiftly in his arms and walked out, leaving the two friends with dog food. What are you doing? Put me down. Mu Lan panicked. Don't you have a fever? I have to cool it down. Mu Liang said lightly. They encountered 4 maids in their tracks. None of the maids dared to look at the couple. I was just trying to win against Yen Su. Mu Lan revealed her true intention. Then why is your face so red? Mu Liang asked, who had no clue about what the 3 friends were talking. Mu Lan's lips were sealed. She couldn't say anything. If she lied, Mu Liang would find out within an instant. Mu Lan hid her face on Mu Liang's nape in embarrassment as she saw the maids, while Mu Liang smiled at her cute action. Mu Lan thought that Mu Liang would take her to the bedroom. However, to her surprise, he took her to his study room. He put her down on the sofa and sat beside her. Mu Lan looked at him puzzled. Mu Liang gave her a file which was on the tea table. Take a look. Mu Lan curiously opened the file. On the cover page in large front, Car Race 4-99 was written. Mu Lan looked at the man beside her. A game? Mu Liang nodded and said, an online game. My company is going to launch this game. I want you to test this game before we do that. Mu Lan looked through the file as she asked, why do you want me to test it? Mu Liang looked in her eyes. He asked back, can't you tell that I want to keep you beside me all the time? Hearing that, Mu Lan's face flushed again. Mu Liang said, I want to hire you to my company. You don't have to go to the office. You can stay at home, play the game, write a report and earn money. You never used the money from the credit card I gave you. So you can have your own money and spend it the way you want. Mu Lan thought about the things Mu Liang said. For a student like her, it was a pretty good deal. She could earn money at home. She nodded and said, okay, deal. Mu Liang smiled and leaned on her. He kissed her forehead and said, "There is a disk on the file which contains the program. You can start any time." Mu Lan wanted to run away. She hurriedly nodded and strode out. Mu Liang sighed. He went back to work. Mu Liang wanted to give Mu Lan what was rightfully hers. He even bought her flat and redecorated it just the way it was. One of their Chinese butlers stayed next door and cleaned her flat every day. Previously, when he bought the game in the competition 4 years ago, Mu Lan got a huge amount of money. She bought a flat and furnitures with half of the money. She used some of the money to create another game. The rest of the money was in her savings. She could lead a good life. Yet, she had to suffer because of that disgusting man. His trail of thoughts broke because he got a call from his brother. "What?" Mu Liang asked. "Big brother, I heard a news. Li Corporation is having a game department. They want to launch a game and will hold an international competition. They even sent an invitation to all our collaborations." Mu Feng said all of it in one breath. He was clearly excited. Mu Liang's eyes narrowed. It was crystal clear to him what President Li's intention was. He answered, "Decline the offer. We don't work with third-rated companies. Also release a statement that no French programmer will participate in the competition. Because we are going to hold a competition in 2 months." Mu Feng blinked. He asked, "Are we?" Mu Liang said, "Hua Lan needs to showcase her talents." Mu Feng grinned from the other side and said, "Don't worry, big brother. I will make it a grand competition." He hung up. Mu Liang looked outside the window. His eyes were icy cold. "You want to look for her? Keep dreaming. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 193, 3 down. Chapter 193, 3 down. The next day, Mu Lan went to the campus with Yan Su and Qiying. She observed that many of the female students were looking at her. Suddenly getting all the attention towards her, Mu Lan felt uneasy. She hurriedly went to her room and packed her bag for the class. As soon as she entered the class, all the students gathered around her. The moment she entered the campus, the students already found out. "Lan, it has been a month. Where were you? We have been waiting for you. Do you know how popular you have become? What made you paint such a remarkable piece? Do you have any idea who bought your painting?" All the questions blew Mu Lan's mind. She felt like a celebrity. But that's not what she wanted. She wanted a decent, peaceful life, maybe sometimes exciting, but she still preferred peace. Mu Lan gave a small smile and said, "I was sick. Thank you for worrying about me. It means a lot." She sat on her chair. Next to her was Hugo. Hugo looked at her and gave a polite nod. Mu Lan smiled and said, "It has been a while. Good to see you." Hugo blushed at her innocent smile. No woman ever looked at him this way. He found another quality of young miss that qualified her to make a capable mistress of the Mu household. It increased his respect for her. Hugo replied in a low voice, "Glad to see you healthy again, you. I mean La. Ms. Lan." He was clearly nervous. Mu Lan found him very funny. She saw how weird he looked as he tried to mention her name. She hid her smile. Hugo gave her the entire month's homework and assignment. Mu Lan simply glanced at them. And Dawn was discussing some private matters with her best friend and the girls in the class. The moment Mu Lan entered the room, it caught everyone's attention. Jealousy flashed in Anne's eyes. How dare she take my spotlight? Who does she think she is? And fumed in anger. Beside Anne, her best friend saw her reaction. She said, "What's with that Chinese girl? She just painted a picture. It's no big deal. Look at how she's acting. She is so fake. Her voice was loud enough to let the people near them hear her. One of the girls said, "You are right. She doesn't even talk to us. She must be thinking that she is a celebrity." And said, she even seduced a man at the evening ball. Her voice was full of hatred. A girl gasped. She exclaimed, "Are you serious?" And replied, "That guy was handsome and rich." They danced almost 3 times. Then they had dinner together. I even saw them kissing in the balcony. Girls around her exclaimed with shock. One girl said, "So she is a gold digger." Who would have thought? The girl next to her said, "They just met and started kissing?" I question her character. Anne's best friend said, "She can seduce men just by her looks. And here, she looks so innocent." TSK, we cannot judge a book by its cover. Another girl said, "But she is a beautiful girl in the department." She immediately stopped on sensing the glares from the other 3 girls. While they were busy criticizing, Mu Liang, the one who was the hot topic, had no clue what was going on behind her back. However, Hugo had sharp ears. He heard everything what they said. Mu Feng already told him to keep an eye on and Dawn. Both Mu Feng and Hugo knew that she was the reason for Mu Liang's abduction. Hugo got a new mission. It was to protect young Miss from those girls. From the next day, Hugo became extremely busy and was supposed to take everyone's assignment. However, Mu Liang was absent due to sickness, so she couldn't hand over the assignment. The moment Anne was going to complain to the professor, Hugo crashed against her. He made her drop all the papers. Hugo apologized calmly and sincerely. Like a popular heroine, and only smiled and said, "It's fine. I hope you are okay." Later she took the papers and handed them to the professor. Before leaving, she didn't forget to say, "Professor, Lan gave an excuse of being sick and didn't hand over her homework." The professor got angry and bickered at her, "Are you blind? I can see that she submitted her assignment. How dare you lie in front of your teacher?" This professor was famous for having a bad temper. He acknowledged students by their hard work and not by their status or looks. And unexpectedly got scolded for 10 minutes. When she got out, she kicked the wall. This Lan sure got some luck. But this is only the beginning, she thought viciously. Next day, Mu Liang handed her sculpture and was returning to sit. Just then, Anne's best friend stretched her left leg to trip her. Right at that time, Hugo was walking towards the teacher and accidentally stomped her foot. A fine-built man's foot was on a delicate woman's foot. How much of pain she would undergo. Anne's best friend screamed in pain, leaving the whole classroom startled. Hugo was so stunned that he had no time to react. The teacher scolded the girl for not being modest while sitting. Hugo personally took her to the infirmary and the doctor found out that she had a bone fracture. The girl was sent to the hospital. She was asked to rest in bed for about 4 months. And cursed her best friend for her foul plan as well as Mu Liang for having a good luck. The 3rd day, and the other girls took Mu Liang to the cafeteria. They wanted to celebrate Mu Liang's recovery. Everyone started eating their food. Anne's friend had already put a powder in Mu Liang's food. Hugo served the food. As everyone had almost the same food, accidentally, Hugo exchanged the process and gave that girl Mu Liang's share. After finishing her meal, the girl went to the toilet and didn't come back. That day, they had a special photography class and that girl completely missed the chance. Hugo gave a call to Mu Feng. "What is it?" Mu Feng was busy. 3 down. Hugo replied with a dark tone. Mu Feng hid his laughter and said, "Good job. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 194. Chapter 194, What are you waiting for? A royal invitation? Hugo wasn't good with women and Mu Feng knew it very well. He loved to tease Hugo, who was always stoic. Therefore, Mu Feng gave Hugo the task to protect young mistress from those jealous women. Mu Feng wanted to see how Hugo would handle the situation. Hugo also thought that it was like other normal missions. But on the very first day he realized that it was completely different. He couldn't fight against those girls as it would cause a huge trouble. He couldn't even tell them to back off, for it would make them curious about Mu Lan's identity. Hugo never liked women because they were too clingy. However, his vision started to change when he met young mistress. He finally found a woman he could respect. But things changed as he encountered Anne and her friends. He felt disgusted when he found their cheap scheming against Mu Lan. Hugo admitted that he liked it very much when he crashed into Anne and got her scolded, stomped Anne's best friend and changed the dish, which made a classmate stay at the toilet for the whole day. On the fourth day, another female classmate tried to shower Mu Lan with her meal at the cafeteria. Hugo was sitting beside Mu Lan. He accidentally stretched his right leg. The girl tripped over and fell on the ground. She showered herself with her own meal and caused a huge ruckus. Later, Anne slapped that girl for being so stupid. She was furious. Why has that girl got to be so lucky every single time? Wait, is it really because she was lucky? Or maybe because someone is protecting her? Anne recalled the previous accidents. Whenever they tried to harm Mu Lan, Hugo was around. And expressed her doubt to her other friends. One girl said, Hugo and Lan have a good relationship. It is only normal for them to stay together. We also stay together, don't we? Hearing her logic, other girls seemed to stop doubting. When Hugo was acting like a knight in shining armor, Mu Lan was busy playing Car Race 4-99. She was pretty good at the game and discovered that the game was very easy to play. Moreover, she found out that this online game was quite familiar. She called Hua Lan. Hua Lan answered the call sooner than she expected. Hua Lan, you are disturbing my study. Hua Lan said directly to her friend. Apparently, she was going to join a forum at Germany in 4 months. Her professor told her to study German language. She was doing her best to learn German. I'm really sorry, Hua Lan. I want to ask you something. Mu Lan hurriedly said. Hua Lan asked back, What are you waiting for? A royal invitation? In the dorm, Yen Su was sitting beside Hua Lan. Hearing Hua Lan's question, she laughed loudly. Hua Lan was a girl who was very true to her friends. She was worried sick when Mu Lan suddenly disappeared. It took her weeks to control her emotions. When she heard that Mu Lan was back, she was more relieved than anyone else. Since she was busy with her studies, she couldn't meet her in person. Later, when Mu Lan came to the dorm, all 4 of them had dinner together. Today, Mu Lan's formal attitude made Hua Lan a little upset. Mu Lan understood her mistake and bit her tongue subconsciously. Lin, answer my question correctly and I'll treat you to dinner. Mu Lan said informally. Hua Lan, who loved food more than her own life, got excited. She replied, Fine. Mu Lan said, I was in coma for 9 months. After I woke up 4 months ago, I had no memory. Though I love fine arts, I find hacking very easy. How can this be possible? Hacking isn't an easy matter. Later, 5 days ago, Liang gave me an online game to test it. The game is really easy to play and I reached level 66. But Hugo is having a tough time to even reach level 30. Not only that, I found the game very familiar. Especially when I read the program code. Mu Lan finished what she wanted to say and took a deep breath. On the other side, Hua Lan was quiet. She asked after a while, Do you feel like you've played the game before and you also know the program code of the game? Mu Lan replied, Yes. Hua Lan asked, so, you are suspicious? Mu Lan replied, I am. Well, give me 2 days. I'll answer you after that. Hua Lan hung up. Mu Lan was stunned. What just happened? Did she just say that she would answer me after 2 damn days? Why must I suffer? She kicked her legs a couple of times. Dash. Meanwhile, Hugo called Yen Su. She answered the call. Miss Jin. Hugo addressed formally. Oh, isn't this the handsome bodyguard? Yen Su smirked. So why would a bodyguard like yourself need me for? I heard that you are invincible. Hugo opened his mouth. Miss, I need your help to keep young Miss safe. 4 girls are heading towards young Miss's room. I can't go to the female dormitory. Please stay with young Mississippi. The young miss he mentioned wasn't Xiang but Mu Lan. Yen Su knew it very well. She immediately said, I understand. She then walked her way to Mu Lan's room. When she reached closer to the room, she found out that Hugo was right. There were 4 female students who were from Mu Lan's class. They were coming to the corner of the 2nd floor. Only Mu Lan's room was at the corner. Yen Su heard them saying, the normal rules of the dormitory is that 4 students live together in a room. But why is it that she has special privileges to live alone? Her background is really mysterious. We don't even know her family name. One of them said. Yen Su gritted her teeth. B**********. What will you do with her family name? Eat fried chicken? Maybe, she is a mistress who married an old man at this young age. Another girl said. She uses her good looks to seduce men. Didn't it say that she seduced a handsome male and danced with him, and also kissed him in the balcony? Another girl said. Yen Su smirked. Stupid creatures, looks like you are tired of living. Yen Su heard them saying, let's go and punish her today. Other girls cheered. Yen Su slowly took 1 step at a time and slowly went down. The *** cheese, since you love punishment, let's get started. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 195, Who do you think I am? Chapter 195, Who do you think I am? There were some marble balls in Yen Su's A-line denim skirt. She threw them on the floor from where those 4 girls were coming. The girls were so busy gossiping that they didn't hear the sound of the marble balls rolling down. The one with the short hair put her right leg on a marble ball and fell on the floor. The girl was wearing a circle skirt. Therefore, as she fell down, her shirt flew up and revealed her round buttocks wearing black thong. It was around 8:30. Female students were still walking around the corridor. Looking at the girl falling down, some laughed loudly, some tried to hide their smiles, and some even took photos and videos. The 3 girls who were accompanying her were frozen due to the scene that happened before them. The girl who had fallen screamed in pain. As she fell flat, she hurt her chin, causing her lips to bleed. The closest girl next to her was her friend who'd accompanied her. She came close to her and asked worriedly, "Are you all right?" The fallen girl got mad and screamed at her friend, "Do I look all right? Take me to the infirmary." The girl then took her friend to the infirmary. The other 2 girls looked at the floor and found the marble balls. Feeling astounded, they took the balls. Just then, they heard sounds of heels. Looking at the stairs, they found that Yen Su was coming downstairs. She was wearing a red blouse, black short skirt and red heels. She had a smirk hanging on her lips. "Hello guys," Yen Su said. Yen Su was from a powerful background. Those who were from business family were aware of the fact that Hersian family was a relative of Mu family. Those 2 girls weren't from business family. But still they were aware of Yen Su's power and were afraid of her. One of the girl gulped down her fear and asked Yansu, "Are you the one who threw the marble balls?" Yansu covered her lips with her right hand and gasped in surprise. "Ha? What are you talking about? I was playing with them as I walked towards my best friend's room. You are the ones who were coming this way uninvited." Another girl beside her looked furious. She said, "Just because you are powerful does it mean that you own this building? We all have the rights to walk wherever we want." Yansu laughed beautifully as she said playfully, "Walking is not a problem. But walking with bad intention is a huge problem." The two girls became pale. Did she know our plan? How is that even possible? They thought as they were frightened. For having such a low IQ, they couldn't even guess that they were so loud that they let the whole of second floor hear their plan. The one who was brave enough said, "What are you accusing us for?" Yansu pouted her lips, then replied, "Nothing. I just saw you guys were walking towards my best friend's room." The other girl who had less courage got her voice back. She asked, "Just because Lan is your friend, doesn't mean you can bother." Yansu nodded in agreement and said, "That's absolutely true. However, if you try to harm my friend, I, of course, won't let you do that." The brave girl came forward and said, "So what if we try to harm her? She is a bad example of our department. She seduces men with her looks." Yansu smirked as she said, "So you admit that Lan has a more beautiful face than you all have. So, this is all because of jealousy. You?" That girl trembled in rage. Yansu looked at her and asked, "You are Elizabeth, right?" That girl who was trembling in anger, suddenly got startled. She asked, "How do you know?" Yansu said, "Who do you think I am? Your boyfriend Richard is disgusted with you. He sent me an invitation letter to join Anne's birthday party." Elizabeth didn't believe her at all. She frowned and said, "What did you say? To be his partner?" Yansu said in a playful tone. You. Elizabeth could neither curse Yansu nor could she handle it. She directly called her rich boyfriend and asked, "Honey, are we going to Anne's birthday party together?" The rich boyfriend said from other side, "Eli, let's break up. You are boring and always scheming against others. All you do is talk bad behind other people's back. As it is, you are a woman filled with dirtbags yet you go against a good artist like Lan. You are disgusting. I don't like you. I get irritated whenever you talk negative things. Don't get anywhere near me in the future." After warning her, the rich boyfriend hung up. Elizabeth, on the other hand, fell on the floor with a plop sound. Tears welled up in her eyes as she cried out loudly. Later, she looked at Yansu and glared at her.